pours love into the family. He pours love into the home. So his love can overflow into the world. I want to spend my life mending broken people. I want to spend my life removing pain. Lord, let my words heal a heart that hurts. I want to spend my life mending broken people, so his love can overflow into the world.
God bless you, and welcome back to Three Angels Broadcasting Network. And once again, as always, we're really happy that you have joined us for another program. You know, around this time of year, let me tell you, people's ovens are busy making cookies, cakes, pies, candies, and treats to make up some goodie baskets to share with family and friends, or people make them for banquets and parties and all kinds of stuff. But a lot of times people use recipes that make your stomach say, oh no, when it comes down the hatch. Well, if you're interested in those recipes that make your stomach say, oh yes, let me tell you, we've got them for you today. Barbara Kerr is here from Taste of Health Ministries, and she's here all the way from Gaston, South Carolina. And let me tell you, she has cooked up some terrific recipes. Recipes that not only have a wonderful presentation, they look good, they taste good, but they're also good for you. And those are the kind of recipes we should be really happy to share with our family, with our friends, and with the people that are coming over to our homes for the holidays. And let me tell you what's on the menu today. They're all sweet treats. She's got a pumpkin roll, turtle brownies, orange cranberry flat tops, mint fudge, cranberry pistachio biscotti, and also pine nut and thyme shortbread cookies. So get ready with your pencil, your paper, and if you're not able to write down the recipes in time, just give us a call here at Three Angels Broadcasting Network, 1-800-752-3226, and we will be just more than happy to mail them to you. So stay with us. We'll be heading to the kitchen shortly. Well, let me ask you a question. Are you a vagabond, a stranger, a fugitive, or a pilgrim today? Now, I know that's an unusual question, but let's think about this for a moment. A vagabond is really someone who has no home, and a fugitive is someone who is running away from home. A stranger is someone who is away from home. But a pilgrim is someone who is on his way home. So if you're on your way home, and I'm speaking about our heavenly home today, you're a pilgrim. And we find in Hebrews chapter 13, verse 14, it's speaking about pilgrims when it says, here we have no continuing city, but we seek the one to come. Let me read that again. Here we, as Christians, have no continuing city or a lasting, fulfilling place, but we seek the one to come. In other words, we have a purpose and we have a direction and we have a focus that others may not have. And this direction and this purpose, it's going to show in our everyday lives. You know, some people post signs in their homes or their businesses that say, destination heaven or residence above, and this is good, and I really like those signs, but God tells us that the very best thing that we can do to demonstrate that we're seeking the world to come is to really allow it to come out in our everyday lives. And God says in Jude 21 that we need to keep ourselves in the love of God, looking for the mercy of our Lord Jesus Christ unto eternal life, and of some having compassion, making a difference, and others saving with fear, pulling them out of the fire. So God says, keep yourselves in His love, or in other words, think His thoughts, speak His words, and do His deeds, so that He can work through us. And I like to think of it this way. We're really like tractors in a field. And if we're moving, and if we're doing, God can steer the tractor. But if we're stopped, and we're just waiting for God to speak or to drop a miracle out of the sky into our laps, we're going to be waiting for a long time. Because God really can only steer moving tractors. He can't steer the ones that are stuck in the mud. You know, this text also says that we need to have compassion and we need to make a difference and save others. And God knows that in this world there are people all around us who fall into the category of being vagabonds, being strangers, and being fugitives. And they're going a lot of different directions, and most of the time they're choosing directions that only lead to a lot of heartache and a lot of pain. And that's why He says, make it a priority in your life to have compassion, because have you noticed, people will always stop dead in their tracks when someone shows them a little bit of compassion. And that's why He says that we need to make a difference in people's lives around us, because people really respond to love more than anything else. And also, that's why He says, be a life preserver and save people, pulling them out of the fire of their own wrong choices. And by the way, when people are hurting, they don't care what the size of life preserver that you have to throw them. You know, too many times we look at ourselves and we say, I'm just not a good enough Christian, I'm not a good communicator, I get too nervous, my home isn't nice enough for company. But we forget that people really don't care how big or how small the life preserver is. They just want us to throw it to them. And a wonderful way to throw out the life preservers is to invite someone to your home and let them get to know you, and take the time to get to know them, and let some friendships develop. You know, I have really come to the conclusion that one of Satan's biggest schemes is for people to get too busy for people, too busy for genuine friendships, too busy for heart-to-heart talks, and too busy to make a difference in somebody's life. You know, he wants us to go through life with just a lot of surface relationships that really don't have any Vegemite to them. But God says, instead, I want you to go and look for the vagabonds, look for the fugitives, and look for the strangers, and I want you to love them into the kingdom. And you know what I've discovered? When we have compassion, and when we try to make a difference in somebody's life, and when we pull someone out of the fire, the result is that we see the compassion of God so much bigger in our own lives, and we see God making a much bigger difference in our lives, and we see God delivering us out of our fires like never before. So if you're a pilgrim today, if you're someone that's on your way home, start looking for some traveling companions, and let me tell you, vagabonds, fugitives, and strangers they're just waiting for the invitation to join you as you're traveling home. Let's go to the Lord in prayer. Father, in Jesus' name, I just want to praise you and thank you for your word that gives us light, that gives us hope, that gives us direction. And also, Lord, it shows us the way where we can really be a blessing to the people around us. Lord, I just pray right now that you will touch our lives like never before. I pray that you will give us such a sensitivity to those around us. I pray that you will make us so sensitive to the moving of your Holy Spirit that we will know, Lord, when you're saying you need to reach out to that one, or you need to reach out to that one. Father, I pray that you will help us to just be tools in your hand. Lord, I realize that there's so little time left in this world, but Lord, you can do so much with a little. And the little time that we have left, Lord, we just want to be instruments in your hands, reaching out to the hurting around us. I pray, Father, that you will give us wisdom and that you will also make us willing, Lord, to take the time for the people to open up their hearts to us. Make us willing, Lord, to open up our homes and to use them to your honor and to your glory. And I pray, Lord, that when we get to heaven, that all the seeds that you have planted through our lives, Lord, that we'll be able to see the fruit and we'll be able to rejoice together with you in the kingdom forever. In Jesus' name, amen. Well, at this time, I tell you, you are going to hear an instrument that I've always wanted to play. And when I get to heaven, this is an instrument that I will play, and that is the harp. But we have Judy Walter Bailey, who is a professional harpist, and right now she is going to play that old familiar song, Good Christian Men Rejoice. So come on into our living room and listen to this. Welcome back to the 3ABN Kitchen, and welcome back, Barb.
Thank you.
You know, I always call you the Julia Childs of vegetarian cooking, but since you're doing sweets today, can I call you the Sarah Lee of sweet treats?
Sure, that sounds fine with me. You're going to make me turn red. Oh, how are you?
I am doing great. How about you?
I'm doing pretty good. You know, the last 2 weeks was really hard for me. My girlfriend, Claudia, down in Florida, she has been developing a lump on her thyroid, And last week she had to have that removed. She'd had cancer twice before of her thyroid, and they thought it was the same thing this time, and ended up removing quite a large tumor and the thyroid, but it was benign. So
Praise the Lord.
we were happy for that, but she was discouraged that she had to have her entire thyroid taken out. She was one of those blue babies when they were born, and they radiated all of them, and then 25 to 30 years later they all ended up with cancer. So
Sure.
that was kind of stressful for me, but I rushed back, whipped up the desserts, and Claudia's doing fine. Claudia, I love you, and I hope you're getting better. So I left her after.
In fact, Claudia was on some of the Food for Thought programs that you
Yes.
did. And a lot of times on these programs, she's helping behind the scenes.
And she
so-
does the radio programs with me.
That's
She's
right.
sound effects. So,
She's very good at
yeah,
that, too.
so I'm happy to be here, but that was a little tough. But I want to tell you, I saw your program last night where you were singing. And I was so impressed. I loved the songs. You did a great job. But I had never seen the second music video, and I want you to know I bawled through the whole thing. It just brought tears to my eyes, and it was wonderful. So
Well, praise
I'm
the
so proud of
Lord.
you. You did
Praise the
such a
Lord.
good job.
You know, I didn't give you a copy of that CD yet, did I?
No, and I
failed
really
miserably,
want
but I'm
one,
going to give
and
you
the video
double
too.
copies.
All right, good, good. Thank you. I appreciate that so much. So we have some wonderful desserts for you today. We're going to be doing a pumpkin roll first, and this is a family tradition, probably one of the favorite recipes during the holidays at my house. Next to that chocolate French silk pie, which I could not actually get to turn out vegetarian. Not yet.
Oh,
I'm
okay.
still working
So
on it.
care isn't working too well.
Not yet. That's okay. You know, maybe in a couple of years I will have figured out a way to do that. But the pumpkin roll is the #2 dessert that we have at the holidays, so we're going to do that for you first, and we're going to put those recipes up for you now. You're going to need for the roll 4 1/2 teaspoons of Energy egg replacer, 1/2 cup water, 2/3 cup canned pumpkin, 1 cup milled cane sugar, 1/2 teaspoon cinnamon, 1 teaspoon baking soda, and 3/4 cup unbleached white flour. For the filling, you're going to need 1/3 cup water, 2 tablespoons plus 1 1/2 teaspoons cornstarch, 4 1/2 teaspoons Earth Balance margarine, 1 cup of tofutti better than cream cheese, 1/2 cup fructose, 3/4 teaspoon vanilla, and 6 tablespoons of finely chopped toasted pecans, which is an optional ingredient. Now, we're going to mix up the batter first, Linda, and I'm going to push this just aside a little bit. We want to tell, but we still want to tell them what the ingredients are. We're going to start first with our Energy egg replacer, which is 4 1/2 teaspoons. It's up at the top.
And actually, that's an ingredient that you would find at your health food store.
Yes, it is. And this is our egg replacement. You might think that's strange, but it really does work great as a binding in anything that's like muffins and cookies, cakes, and it even gets a little bit foamy. So just going to whisk that up. Okay, go ahead and stir in our pumpkin. I'll give you a spoon. Oh, you did good there. And I think that's 2/3 cup of pumpkin.
While we're doing this, you're going to have to share how you got this idea for this recipe, because it sounds, even though I haven't tried it yet, it sounds like it is a winner.
This is a really good recipe, you're right. Let's put the rest of these in, and then I will. That's a great story. 1 cup of milled cane sugar. I had someone tell me, please tell Linda to tell all of her cooking guests to repeat those ingredients. It was so nice. So I'm telling you now.
Okay.
1/2 teaspoon of cinnamon. And then let's see, we've got
1 teaspoon of,
baking soda.
okay, and 3/4 cup of unbleached white flour.
Okay. Now this part of this recipe, since this is a roll, just did not do well with whole wheat flour. So I left this way, took the eggs out, but this is an old family recipe. And this recipe actually comes from one of my father's truck driving buddies' wives. So
Interesting.
she gave this recipe to my father's wife, and first time I had it, I fell in love with it. Of course, anything with real cream cheese is delicious. I mean, if you're German, right?
Sure.
So she gave that recipe, and we have all been making this at the holidays every year.
Now we're thanking the Lord for tofutti.
And yes, and you know what? It turned out really good as a vegan recipe. It just needed a little bit of tweaking, but worked out good. Now, we're going to put this recipe on. We're going to spread this out because we're making a roll. We need wax paper, and if you want to shake that and take the lid off of that. Parchment, I've not tried it with parchment, but wax paper is a necessity here. Okay.
And we're actually putting the wax paper down because we're going to roll this later.
Yes, and this is I don't want to spray you or myself. And you want to spray your wax paper so that the roll will come off easily. Okay, I think that's probably good. Now, if you want to take all of that filling and just put it right into the center of this, I'm going to spread it out. It's good to the last drop. Now, this is kind of thin, and this is the way it should be. And you're going to take a few minutes just to spread it to each corner. You want this to be as even as possible. Probably about as tricky as getting it rolled up. We have our oven preheating already, and it's not, this has to be on an 11.5 by 17-inch cookie sheet. And if
You were right about good to the last drop. That is delicious.
You know, the nice thing about animal-free batters is you can lick them right out of the bowl.
Sure.
Without having to worry about all the bad things. Okay. Now, even though it's very thin, if there's a spot where you can see through it, you want to just try and
make it even.
Yeah, even that out. Now, you're going to bake this at 375 degrees for about 15 to maybe 18 minutes. It just depends on your oven. And also, you do not want this recipe to look or feel wet when it comes out of the oven. You want it to be dry to the touch on top. It will be spongy. But if it's wet and if you've gotten it too moist, when you roll it up, it's going to stick to the tea towel. So you want it just a smidge on the dry side. Linda, can you put this one in the oven and bring back what we have cooking?
Okay, here we are. And let me
right.
tell you, this smells terrific. You know, it kind of
Good.
smells like
Just set that right
gingerbread.
there. Does it?
Does.
It must be that cinnamon. Now you can see how this is dry on the top. Okay. We're going to set our timer for either 3 to 5 minutes. We want this to cool exactly the right length of time, then we're going to roll it up. But while we're waiting for that, we're going to make up our filling. So
I forgot, you're the one who measures your dough when you roll it out.
this recipe is very time sensitive,
okay.
so you'll have to
All
set
right.
your timer.
Okay, we'll do it then.
Okay, for our filling, you need 1 8-ounce package of tofutti, better than cream cheese. You can pull that off, and I'll give you a little, and then there'll be 2 tablespoons.
You know, I am so glad that you came right before the holiday because you always give me all my ideas that I need for cooking for the
good.
holidays. So I have a feeling this
great.
is going to be one of them.
Okay. Well, I think you're going to like this one. Now you need 4 1/2 teaspoons of the Earth Balance margarine. Now you're going to recognize this recipe a little bit.
I am?
Yeah.
Okay.
Remember tofutti and fructose mixed together and it made nice icing?
Yeah.
But there's a problem with it, and I'll show
okay.
you. Make sure if you can knock that down there. Okay. So it won't be non-compliant.
That was my probably rare recipe that I've ever created, but I shared it with Barb, and Barb loved it.
And sweetener. So yes, it's very good. It only has one problem that I had to fix.
Okay.
And I'll show you as soon as we blend that. You'll see that was a half a cup of fructose, and we need let's see, 3/4 of a teaspoon of vanilla, and that's all. We're going to blend that. And I'll show you what the problem is with tofutti and sweetener. As soon as you blend it, you'll see.
Okay.
Go ahead and scrape down the sides a little bit, and then we'll blend it again. Some vanilla, in here. Just push that down.
This
it gets
makes
really thin. That's the problem, and it won't get firm again once you put it in the fridge like real cream cheese will. There's some vanilla down here.
Well, in fact, you know, when I made it, I even drained the liquid off of the tofutti cream cheese because it will make it way too thin.
It will make a great drizzle, like it tastes good right now. Go ahead and blend that again. But it won't set up like real ice in the... That looks good. Unless you make the blob.
Okay, what's the blob?
The blob, and we're going to blend this one more time, but you've got to have this part done first. So go ahead and stick that back on there. And that's our cooling. So let's, actually, before we make the blob, since it's time to roll this, let's roll it, and then we'll keep cooking this, and then we'll get, we'll take this out at exactly 15 minutes again for you.
Okay. Yeah, we want to find out what the blob is.
Since it's time sensitive. Okay, we're going to use our Wednesday towel.
Okay.
You need a tea towel for this. Okay, I'll just set this.
Well, being it's Wednesday, Wednesday's a good towel to use.
That's right. Okay. You don't want one of those little fuzzy towels. Okay. And you're just going to carefully roll your pumpkin roll. And you need a little bit left at the bottom so that it can kind of sit on there. Now, carefully, like with this, when you set this in the fridge, just set it in on this seam like that.
Okay.
And then in 15 minutes exactly, we'll get it out and fill it.
Okay.
Get our other. So let me set the timer on that. And now we can make the blob.
Okay, and this has to be 15 minutes.
Yes, because otherwise it won't unroll without cracking.
Okay.
And sometimes it still cracks anyways. It's a little temperamental, but it really works if you keep up the times. So now let's just add our water quickly. And this is 1/3 of a cup, and we want to stir our cornstarch. Actually, I should have stirred the cornstarch, the water into the cornstarch to dissolve it. Let me do that before it, because our timer is going to go off here any second. And then this is what's going to thicken. Okay, I think I've got that dissolved now. Okay.
So this is going to thicken our cream cheese mixture here.
And you're just going to cook that. Let me turn that off. I think it can set another 30 seconds. Okay, can you see how that's getting thicker there? Mm-hmm. You're just going to turn it into a clear blob. And it won't affect the taste, but it will thicken it up enough. And we're just going to, but see, you cannot make this and let it set. So I'm going to put this in here, and then you can blend it quickly. I think that's good. Okay. Actually, can you pull that back down here real quickly, Linda?
Oh, sure.
Thank you. See how that looks? Nice and...
It looks blobby.
The miracles of cooking.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's see if, okay, now blend that as quickly as you can. There you go. Very good. We've got our icing, and now we've got our roll. Let's just make some room here. Okay. Now, when you unroll this, let's see, we're going to go very slowly and hope that it doesn't stick too much to your tea towel. Oh, good. Perfect. We are twins. Okay. And now I'm just going to carefully peel this off, and then okay. Let's do next.
So the 15 minutes in the refrigerator just kind of set the shape
Yes.
of it.
But if you let it go too long, of course. And if you get a few cracks in it, it's not, if the cracks are in the middle, it's not terrible. I mean, it will end up working. Let's get rid of this. Now I'm just going to unroll and see how that's cracking just a little bit there. Okay, and we need our filling. Now what I would do is make this filling ahead and then put it about an hour in the refrigerator, and then it does thicken up from there. This is a little tiny bit thinner than I'd like, because if it's thicker, then it will hold its shape as it
Freezes.
rolls out. Because, okay, well, you want to get as much of it as you can, but for sake of time, you're going to spread this to within 1/2 inch of the edges.
Let's see if I can get some more out of here.
Thank you, ma'am. Okay, very good. Okay, and then we're going to sprinkle it with some toasted, thank you, very good. Some toasted, you do the same
Nuts?
thing, yeah. Pecans. Nothing quite like that. And if you want to get our finished one out of the freezer so it's ready, I'll show them the cut slice. This is 6 tablespoons. You can use as much or as little as you want. And we're going to re-roll this.
What an elegant dessert.
Oh, and then I freeze it in foil. Uh-oh, so it's split a little bit on the side. But it will be okay because it will be fixed by the bottom. And that is our roll. And then we're just going to set this onto aluminum foil. And you want to pull that one in here, Linda? We'll show them how to unroll this one. And then I actually serve this out of the freezer. And that way you can cut. Your freezer freezes hard. My freezer isn't quite this hard. Okay, let me cut this so you can see what it looks like
that
on the
is
inside
so
with the
pretty.
nuts and the, you see that?
Uh-huh.
And then it tastes delicious. And I love to serve it really cold, so I'll just cut up a plate of it, and then if you wanted to, you can just bring it out and serve it. It's just delicious. So.
Oh, it's
think
not
I'm gonna
only
have to eat
delicious, it's
that.
beautiful.
Yeah, thank you. Well, our next recipe is turtle brownies, and you're going to love this one too.
Okay.
And we'll read those ingredients for you now. For the brownie layer, you're going to need 1/4 cup Earth Balance margarine, 1 cup Sunspire vegan carob chips, 1 1/8 cups milled cane sugar, 2 teaspoons pure vanilla, 1/8 cup Energy egg replacer, 1/2 cup water, 1 1/2 cups whole wheat pastry flour, 1/4 cup unbleached white flour, 1/2 teaspoon Rumford's baking powder, and 1/2 teaspoon salt. For the caramel pecan layer, you're going to need 1 1/4 cup sucanat, 1 cup light coconut milk, 2 tablespoons Earth Balance margarine, and 1 1/2 cups whole pecans. We're going to start by putting our pecan layer, the caramel layer, in to get cooking, and that is just our light coconut milk. How much coconut milk is that, Linda?
Let's see.
Is it a cup? Yeah, down there. 1 cup light coconut
Yes.
milk and 2 tablespoons of Earth Balance margarine, or you can use canola oil or any kind of vegetable oil.
1 1/4 cups of sucanat, and that's another item you can get at your health food store.
Right.
Or, as we've said, a lot of these larger chains are carrying health food items now.
That's right. Now, stick the candy thermometer. I had someone call and ask me after the last program, what is milled cane sugar? And since I'm using sucanat, I just want to explain the difference. Milled cane sugar is the juice that's evaporated from the sugar cane plant, and then it is broken up, and then the vitamins and nutrients that are in there is what you have in the milled cane sugar. The difference between that and sucanat is that they add back blackstrap molasses to the sucanat to give it a darker color. So actually, when it comes to vitamins and nutrients, sucanat is a better choice for you because there's more in it. But the milled cane sugar is lighter in color, so it lends itself to certain recipes like the cream cheese filling.
Sure.
That you would never use something dark brown. So that is the difference. It has not been refined to the point like white sugar, but it is still a sweetener. And if you're diabetic, you need to eat whatever you eat with caution. Now we're going to let this get to 260 degrees. So we're just going to let this boil, simmer, and then we'll stir in our pecans. I'll try not to throw the dishes at you. And let's go ahead and make up our batter. And that we're going to do in a saucepan too. We need our margarine. Let's put this over low heat. And you know, I love, let me give you this one. I love the Earth Balance margarine because it is a non-hydrogenated vegetable margarine that is no dairy products, no animal products in it whatsoever, and it's
So that
wonderful.
means no cholesterol.
Right. And that was, what was our amount on that?
1/4 cup.
And 1 cup of the vegan Sunspire carob chips. And actually, I'm going to need something different for this. And you don't want them to burn, so I'm going to get them. You know, I actually threw carob on myself today while I was making the fudge, the mint fudge. I looked down and I'm like, oh, I've never done that before. It was a little shocker, especially since it was a new shirt.
Oh, you know, that could be a problem.
Yeah, but it wasn't this one, so I decided to stir with caution today. Okay, as soon as that's melted, and I think I can turn this heat off, you want to whisk up together our water, which is a 1/2 cup of water and 1/8 cup of energy egg replacer until that's kind of foamy and frothy. Oh, I did it again. This time not towards me though. Now we're going to mix into this 1 1/8 cup milled cane sugar, and I do this all in the saucepan.
Is that frothy?
Yeah, that looks good.
Okay, should we add it?
Yeah, go ahead.
All right.
Let me get that out. Every bit counts. Okay. Actually, you want to stir that for me while I check on the caramel. See if I can mix all that. I love deferring to you when it gets tough.
We may have to start going to aprons, Barb, especially the older we get. You know,
No.
I suspect the older we get, we're going to get more messy.
No way. I would much rather just wear food down the front of me. I hate aprons.
Do you really?
I really do. They are cute on other people, but I hate them. So that would be like not the perfect Christmas gift to get me.
Oh, okay. Well,
I'd really
I learned
just
something
like
today.
I'd really just like one of your CDs.
Oh, well, I'm going to give you more than that.
All right. Okay, let's mix in the next ingredients to yours. Okay, go ahead and pour in your vanilla. Just 2 teaspoons pure vanilla. Okay, and now let's just add the dry ingredients. That should not be cooking anymore. I don't think it is. Okay, that is our, let's see, I can't read it. 1 1/2 cups whole wheat pastry flour, 1/4 cup unbleached white, 1/2 teaspoon of Rumford aluminum-free baking powder, and 1/2 teaspoon of salt. And then as soon as that's thick, we're just going to put it right into our 9 by 9 pan to bake that. And you're going to bake it at 350 degrees for 35 minutes. And you do not want to over bake that. 30 to 35 minutes. As a brownie will get too hard, the carob will look really bad. As a matter of fact, last night when I was making the brownie for the program today, the beeper for the pumpkin roll needing to be unrolled went off at the exact same time I put it in the oven, and I forgot to turn my timer on. So after I finished the pumpkin roll, how many minutes was it spinning? Because I knew it couldn't be overbaked, and of course I did overbake it, about 5 minutes. That looks good. Let's pull out the finished one, and I will show you the edges. I think it's under your counter. Now, can you see how the edges are just a little bit too dark and they're a little bit too hard? But the center is nice. So this is the brownie we're going to pour our caramel topping onto here in just a moment. And I think it's almost done. Yep, we've gotten to 200, oh, just went past 260. Let me take that off. Stir in our...
So actually, the hotter it gets, the harder it gets, right?
Yeah, right. So maybe it won't be so caramely now after all. Stir this in quickly, because you want it to be a little bit gooey on the top of the brownies. And then put this on here. See if I can do this before it
Boy, this would make some mean caramel
sets
rolls,
up.
too.
Oh, yeah. Well, okay. And then just push it out to the edges. Here we go. Well, you know, if I was in my own kitchen.
What would you do, Barb?
Like the spoon. So, you know, but anyways, that gets, and depending on the time it takes you is how much will evaporate. Sometimes I end up with a little bit more caramel sauce and other times I have a little less. So, just depends on the stove. But
Go
it's
ahead.
good.
My house is your house.
Oh, but this is too hot. It'll burn my tongue
okay.
still. But I will
it
lick
next-
it later.
okay.
So let's do our next recipe. And this is orange cranberry flat tops. And Linda, would you read those ingredients for us?
Sure, you need 1 cup of dried cranberries, 1 cup of boiling water, 1/2 cup earth balanced margarine, 3/4 of a cup milled cane sugar, 2 tablespoons of grated orange peel, 1 teaspoon of pure vanilla, 1½ cups of whole wheat pastry flour, 1/8 teaspoon salt, 1 teaspoon baking powder, and 1 teaspoon baking soda.
Now this recipe started out as cookies, then it moved into cake or bread, and then it's turned into mini muffins. So it evolved, but it tastes really
progression.
good. So
Okay.
we're going to go ahead with your hand beater. I'm going to have you mix the earth balanced margarine, which is 1/2 cup, with 3/4 cup of milled cane sugar. I'm going to grate for you 2 tablespoons of orange peel. And then you can add your 1 teaspoon of pure vanilla, and then go ahead and just till that's smooth. That looks good. Let me give you the orange peel first.
Okay.
I think I'm about done with that. That looks like about 2 tablespoons. Yeah, that looks good. Okay, go ahead and just mix that in.
Okay. Now we're going to add our salt.
Okay, I'll let you put those in. That was 1/8 teaspoon of salt, 1 teaspoon of baking powder, and 1 teaspoon of baking soda. And what was the other one? Whole wheat pastry flour, 1½ cups. Yeah.
And back up.
However, I can get you an apron if you'd like. Actually,
You
yeah,
know,
turn
it's so
that down.
funny how different decades have different things. Because my grandparents, they wore aprons all the time when they were in the kitchen. And it seems like in our day and age, people are like, "What's an apron?"
Yeah. Now what I've done is take our craisins. You can turn that off. It's 1 cup of dried cranberries and 1 cup of boiling water, and you let that soak together for 10 minutes. And then I just blended it in the blender until it was kind of pasty thick. I tried to leave it a little bit chunky. And then you can just mix that in, and it's ready to put in our mini muffin tin.
tell you, this batter just even looks festive.
Oh, it tastes really good. But you know, after making it into the muffins, I called them flat tops because they didn't raise in the middle. Thought it was easier to change the name than to read the recipe. So, but you know what? It tastes like a cake, and this would also make a wonderful holiday cake. That looks good. And you want to fill this with a 1 tablespoon scoop, and this will make 4½ dozen 1 tablespoon mini muffins, and you can show them now. And they are delicious. So, but if you wanted to make
and you
this
can't stop at just one.
That's right. And you're going to bake these at 350 degrees for 12 minutes on the muffins if you want to make it into a cake, probably 9 by 9 and for 30 minutes or so.
Okay.
And
What's
we're
coming up next?
The mint fudge.
Oh.
I'm really happy with this. We're going to read those ingredients for you now. You're going to need 1/4 cup plus 1/8 cup silk creamer, 3 cups of Sunspire vegan carob chips, 3/4 teaspoon mint extract, and 3 cups of honey graham crackers crushed into crumbs, about 13 whole. I like this recipe.
This is one of those 5-minute recipes. You
Yes, it
mix
is.
it up, put it in the pan, and it's ready to give to a friend in 5 minutes.
That's right. Now, the silk creamer you can find at a health food store, and it comes in a blue or purple carton. I love the French vanilla too, but for this one I just use the original. And also, that was 1/4 plus 1/8 cup of creamer, and then this is 3 cups of vegan Sunspire carob chips. And your carob chips really do make a difference in how good your recipe turns out. And Chatfield and Sunspire make excellent carob chips, and they are the 2 brands that I use all the time. Now, what I did though, because what I put in was actually 2 cups, I increased this by 1/3 this morning because I didn't like how much it actually made at the end. So when you see me put it on our tray, the one that you are going to follow the directions for is actually going to
Be a third less,
be a 1/3 more.
a third more.
Because it just needed a few more than, I didn't want to be too stingy. No, it just needs to fill up a certain. Okay. And then the peppermint or the mint extract, you can go ahead and add that.
This is my favorite
I
part.
have.
Oh,
Is-
okay.
You know, I learned a valuable lesson this morning. The recipe calls for 3/4 of a teaspoon of mint extract. Well, let me tell you, this is an imitation peppermint, which is all I could find, and I think the one that I had at home is an actual pure mint extract. I think. I'm not home to check, but a 1/2 teaspoon, or the 3/4 is what I used. I went up to 2 teaspoons of the imitation to get it to be the same mintiness. And it used to be like when you'd make candy. Yes, I did do that. You just use a few drops. So there was something suspicious. So do it to taste, but it should be minty. Okay, that looks nice and glossy. And I've just broken up the crumbs in a food processor. Okay, go ahead and put in our graham cracker crumbs, and these are from a health food store as well. And this actually ends up being more like a candy, Linda, than a fudge. You know, fudge is a little more. This is very chewy, kind of like a mint chew. And the graham crackers give it a really nice flavor and texture. The first day it'll be a little bit crunchy, and if it lasts to the second day, it'll get a little softer. So, and then just store it in your freezer. You're going to freeze it as soon as we put it out here, and that's what sets it. And then when you're ready to cut it, let it thaw from the freezer for about 20 minutes, and use a bash and chop. Don't try to pull a knife through this because it's too thick. So, get it close to one edge.
So you just smooth that out, and maybe we should show the finished product. And
It looks like, let me get that out of your way.
okay.
And this is our finished fudge. It's
It
very
looks terrific, and I have to confess I've already tried it, and it tastes as good as it looks.
good. I'm glad
Yes.
you like it.
It's very good.
This is a new winner.
Okay.
Thank you. Okay, our next recipe is going to be a cranberry pistachio biscotti. And those ingredients, you're going to need 1 1/3 cups dried cranberries, 2 1/2 cups whole wheat pastry flour, 1 cup milled cane sugar, 1/2 teaspoon baking soda, 1/2 teaspoon baking powder, 1/2 teaspoon salt, 1 tablespoon plus 1 1/2 teaspoons energy egg replacer, 1/2 cup water, 1 teaspoon pure vanilla, and 1 cup of salted shelled natural pistachios. For the topping, you'll need 2 tablespoons of Earth Balance margarine and 2 tablespoons of milled cane sugar as our garnish. Now, we're not going to actually mix this one up, but I'm just going to explain how to make it for sake of time so we can get that pine nut and thyme cookie recipe in at the end. You're going to take your 1 1/3 cups of cranberries and soak it in boiling water to cover for about 10 minutes till they're soft. Drain them and then pat them dry. And then you're going to mix in a large bowl your 2 1/2 cups of whole wheat pastry flour with your cup of milled cane sugar, 1/2 teaspoon of the soda, 1/2 teaspoon of baking powder, and 1/2 teaspoon of salt. And you just want to mix those up, and then you can whisk together your energy egg replacer, which is a tablespoon plus 1 1/2 teaspoons, mixed with 1/2 cup of water, and then add that to your dry ingredients. After you've got that, add your cranberry mixture in and your 1 cup of shelled natural pistachios, which really gives it a nice color and nice flavor, and 1 teaspoon of pure vanilla. Now, after you get that dough formed, you're going to knead it just a little bit on a counter with some extra flour, and divide it in half, and you're going to form it into 2 loaves like this. You're going to shape it in about 13 inches by 2 inches. Mine I got a little bit too flat. I wish I would have, poofed it up just a little bit. Bake it at 325 degrees for 25 to 30 minutes. Take it out, and then that's when I rub the Earth Balance margarine, sprinkle a little milled cane sugar on there, and you're going to cut it diagonally while it's still hot after it's sat for 10 minutes into 1/2-inch slices. And then as you cut these slices, you're going to lay them on their side on a cookie sheet and bake them again at 325 for another 20 minutes, but you're going to turn them after 10 minutes, okay, so that the other side gets cooked and then it gets nice and crunchy. And we do have a plate sitting right back there of our finished ones, Linda, if you'd like to get them. They're kind of in a spiral, and we'll show those.
You know what I love about these is they look so holiday. You have the green pistachios and you have the little red cranberries.
Very festive. And Biscotti's a nice hard cookie. You can dip this in a nice cup of hot Roma with some silk creamer.
Ooh.
So sounds good. And now we can go to our last recipe, which is a pine nut and thyme shortbread cookie.
Okay.
Would you like to read those ingredients for us?
Sure. You will need 1/3 of a cup toasted pine nuts, 1 1/4 cup of whole wheat pastry flour, 1/4 cup milled cane sugar, 1/2 teaspoon dried thyme leaves, and 1/2 cup Earth Balance margarine.
This is a simple recipe, very delicate, has a great flavor, so I think you're going to like it. I'm going to have you mix up in the bowl the main ingredients, which is the 1 1/2 cups whole wheat pastry flour with our 1/2 cup Earth Balance margarine. And since it's already gotten softened, you should be able to do that by hand, no problem. Otherwise, you can use your mixer at home. I have already toasted in the skillet our pine nuts, so you can see that they're nicely brown. And I'm going to put them into a little mixer. Now, with the thyme, the secret is crushing it, Linda. And so I've taken our 1/2 teaspoon of thyme leaves, put it in this mortar pestle. And you just want to bring it around until it brings all the aroma out and it smells wonderful. Give that to you. Okay. You need your sugar, which is the 1/4 cup of milled cane sugar. And I'm going to crush the pine nuts, process them into meal. And you just want these to be finely ground. That looks good. Okay. I don't know. Here, let me give that to you. the little spoon, and you can get all the pine nuts. It gives it such a good and unusual flavor. This is right up there with the pumpkin roll.
All right.
It's a small recipe, so you're welcome to double this, no problem. And use a 1 tablespoon scoop. After you get that mixed in there, you can flatten this. I tried putting this into a cookie press, but it did not work. It wasn't quite delicate enough for a cookie press. But let's take our scoop. What did we do with our scoop, Linda? Well, I can use my 2 tablespoons.
This is another one of those quick and easy recipes.
Yes, it sure is. Okay. Now this is actually a 2 tablespoon. Yeah, slide that over. But I just want to show you, so you can get the idea. You're going to take a glass, and I dip it in sugar, milled cane sugar, so you can see through it. And then in between, you would dip that again, and that's all there is to the cookies. And then you want to bake them at 325 degrees for 15 to 20 minutes until they're crisp. And we do have a few on a plate back there if you'd like to grab those.
Okay.
And these are nice shortbread.
Let's get a close-up of the shot, and then we're going to go to your address because I know that many, many people will want to get your cookbook. And we want to show pictures from your cookbook, and Barb, maybe you could tell us what we're looking at.
Sure. That is our Super Bowl dinner, some Guy food. This is an hors d'oeuvre menu section. These are our breads, delicious, and our Christmas meal with meatballs in there. And the cookbook is $18.95 plus $4.50 shipping and handling, and I'd be glad to send them to anyone.
Okay, and you can write to Barbara Kerr at Taste of Health Ministries, P.O. Box 38, Gaston, South Carolina, 29053. Or you can give her a call at 803-936-1714. And contact her on the web, www.tasteofhealth.net. Well, once again, Barb, thank you so much, and we just love you so much. Appreciate all your hard work, and we love you too, and we just want to say happy holidays, and until next time, may the Lord richly bless you.
Thank you for being our family. Thank you for being our friends. May God bless and keep